Good evening and welcome to the September 23rd meeting of the Florissant City Council. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we do the roll call of members, I would like to ask for a moment of silence for the victims in the Navy shipyard shooting last week. Thank you. Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Hernandez. Lee. Gribb. Here. Egan. Here. Caputa. Here. Shildroth.
Here.
Stinnett.
Here.
Gunn is absent. Schmidt, sorry. I couldn't read my own writing.
Seeing we have a quorum, I call this meeting in order. Ms. Pagano underwent surgery on Friday at Barnes Hospital, and she got home over the weekend. The mayor saw her today, and she's doing better, and hopefully she will be back with us very shortly. Next on the agenda, we have approval of minutes. Do we have any corrections or additions from our meeting and executive minutes of September 9th? Seeing none, Mr. Schmidt moves for approval, second by Mr. Lee. All those in favor? Aye. Are there any corrections or additions on our work session minutes of September 9th? Seeing none, Mr. Caputa moves for approval, second by Mr. Stinnett. All those in favor? Aye. Next on the agenda, we have the mayor's budget message. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the 2014 budget message to the honorable members of the City Council and the citizens of Florissant. As mayor of the City of Florissant, it is my responsibility to submit a proposed budget for the upcoming 2014 fiscal year. The proposed budget of just under $33 million is submitted in compliance with Section 6.6 of the City Charter and Section 67.010 of the Missouri Revised Statutes. The 2014 proposed budget provides a complete financial plan for the general capital improvement, park improvement, and sewer lateral funds. This budget contains a blueprint to continue to operate the city in a professional manner and with the same high level of programs and services that our residents expect. One of my goals with this proposed budget, and with my past budget proposals, is to anticipate expenditures for the next fiscal year so as to reduce the need for supplemental appropriations. As always, preparing the annual budget has been a difficult process. Revenue budgeted for the general fund is virtually unchanged from that budgeted in 2013, down just slightly. Sales tax revenue in the capital improvement fund is exactly the same as 2013, and sales tax revenue in the park improvement fund is budgeted to increase by $50,000. A healthy reserve is crucial to maintain a consistent level of services and programs over time. Reserves provide the cushion necessary to bridge the ebbs and flows in the city's revenue streams from one year to the next. The general fund is projected to have a reserve balance of $9.3 million. The 2014 proposed budget does not contain any across-the-board wage increases for city employees. The city pays 100% of employee health care premiums and 25% for dependents. Medicare premiums are projected to increase by 11.5%, which will add just over $200,000 to the general fund budget and $16,000 to the park fund budget. About half of this increase is due to costs associated with the implementation of the Affordable Care Act. The economic situation continues to present challenges. Sales tax, our single most important revenue source, is virtually flat. Of the other major revenue sources, gasoline tax continues to decline while the utility tax is flat. As mayor, I continue to encourage industrial development, manufacturing, warehousing, retail, and commercial development in the Florissant and Greater North County area, which will provide jobs for our current and future residents. We've had economic development success in achieving an encouraging level of commercial investment in the city of Florissant, which will help us in future budgets. I believe that the proposed budget presents a reasonable and conservative framework for continuing high levels of service given the issues facing the city, both now and in the future. Highlights of the proposed budget include the following. No across-the-board or step increases have been proposed for full-time or part-time personnel. The city is not in a financial position to do so at this time. A full-time HVAC technician position has been added to replace the part-time HVAC position that we have not been able to fill with skilled technician. It is imperative that the city maintain its mechanical infrastructure as systems have become ever more complex. Several positions which are currently below their starting pay grade are proposed to be brought up to grade. The hours for part-time positions have been adjusted so that no part-time position will be regularly scheduled to work more than 30 hours per week. The second Class A foreman position in the health department has been eliminated and replaced with an A person. The proposed budget addresses a number of equipment needs and building improvements for the public works, parks, and police departments, including $662,000 for vehicles, $123,000 for mowers, $55,000 for park pavilion, and $74,000 for fitness care equipment. $300,000 has been allocated for a new restroom storage facility at Bangor Park. This is to be funded from a grant that will be 100% reimbursable. $800,000 has been allocated for insurance coverages other than medical insurance. This includes $339,000 for liability, $350,000 for workers' comp, and $100,000 for property insurance. The proposed budget requires the use of just over $1.6 million from the general fund reserves. It is projected that the general fund will still have a reserve balance of $7.7 million after the use of reserved funds, which is 31% of the budget and will well above our policy of targeting a reserve balance of at least 10%. At this point, it appears that the turnback of the amount of revenues received in excess of the amount budgeted and budgeted expenditures not spent for the 2013 fiscal year should be around $1.4 million. The general fund reserves will be in good shape should the proposed budget be adopted. The use of reserve funds is necessary and prudent use of resources at this time. The proposed budget is a balanced budget. I wish to thank all the department heads for their diligence and hard work in assisting the administration in the preparation of the proposed budget. I also wish to express my appreciation for the suggestions and encouragement of members of the City Council during the preparation of this budget proposal. I commend all the employees of the City of Florissant for their hard work and the dedication to the residents of our city. It will be my pleasure to discuss the proposed budget with the Florissant City Council and to continue to work together for progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next on the agenda, we have hearing from citizens. Is there anyone who wishes to speak tonight that did not get a chance to sign in? First on the list is Mr. Fred Weismuller, 9 Fairmont Court.
Good evening. 7:08 is what I have for the time. First thing I'd like to mention is the sign outside that door that says use the front door. Now, you know, if you go up to the front door and it's not open, I guess common sense was knock on the door. But if you want to get in here before 7 o'clock, I would think that somebody would be there to greet you. So either I think we ought to change the sign or do something. Second item, I have 709. PA system. Can one of you speak to me? Maybe the president? Because last time I was here, the president said he was going to get back to me, or someone would get back to me. And as I took my seat back there, I thought, excuse me, I don't think I understood what he said. So can somebody say something to me so maybe, Mr. President, you can tell me what you told me last time and see if it's the same thing? Maybe it was that particular night that this wasn't working. Maybe it's the electronics between your system and this. But, boy, it was awful muffled compared to when I sat back there. So for citizens to come up and express ideas, or for people to come up and get a liquor license or whatever business they have before the council, I think it's important that communication's a two-way street. I think it's speaking of two-way streets. Pardon me. If you can hear them, but they can't hear you, I don't think that's communication. The second item I referred to, I have 710. The second item I referred to was liquor stores. Let me just fix this. Liquor stores. It looks like we're going to bring in the CVS pharmacy with liquor sales. Doesn't this code, chapter 405, section 600.030 mean anything? Because it says, and provided further that the convenience stores and liquor stores should not be located within a half mile of another liquor store. And last week I brought to your attention that within a half mile of my house, we have about 5 or 6 liquor stores. This would be 7. And Mr. President, who was it last week you were going to have get back to me on that same matter? Because nobody has. Are you allowed to speak? I make a motion that you speak.
Mr. Weismuller, unfortunately, this isn't a question and answer.
See, I can't
Or-
understand what you're saying. There must. It's a
Okay,
case-
can everybody out there hear what I'm saying? Okay, well, your 3 minutes is up now, actually. Yeah, it is. Well, I've got the clock up here, sir, and your 3 minutes is up.
Well,
I'm
I've got
sorry.
17 minutes, 12 seconds.
Well, your 3 minutes is up. You can leave your request with the city attorney. We'll give it to me. Next, we have Mr. John Bashirs.
Pat, I believe you know why I'm here. I'm going to try this again. I think all three of us misunderstood you.
Could you speak in the microphone, please?
When the band's up there, we thought we could leave the doors open when nobody bands or nobody was there. We really misunderstood what you're saying. When you called me, I had 3 people in the bar, no music or nothing. I know they couldn't hear it. Do you think we can work on this? Maybe we can possibly let me keep the doors open to 2 or 3. If somebody turns the jukebox on, I'll have them shut the doors.
Pat, do you want to get back with him after the meeting?
What I
or-
want to say is, I don't know that we have to waive the rules, but what I would like is for Karen to go back to the September 9th hearing and read the minutes from that meeting that we had on Bottoms Up Bar, the agreement that we reached for the liquor license. Can you go back and read that, Karen? It's September the 9th. Now, I want to make a point that this was the agreement that was reached, and there was 9 people that voted on this, all right? So
We must
there
have
was no misunderstanding on this.
Well, us 3 did. I guess I
Yeah.
didn't hear all that then.
Now, there's no misunderstanding. It's very clear.
Yeah, Mr. Bashirs, could you wait till after the meeting, talk to Mr. Sennett about this?
Yeah.
Thank you.
He said to wait after the meeting. I didn't know she was going to go through all that. I only got 3 minutes.
Yeah, you do definitely need to get this worked out after the meeting. No, would you please wait till after the meeting if it's that important? I think you should wait. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak tonight? Seeing none. Next on the agenda, we have communications. There are none. Next on the agenda, we have public hearing.
We don't have to read it again.
Public hearing 13-08-019. Request to amend B5 ordinance to number 5713 as amended by ordinance number 5713 to allow for an electric sign on top of the building at the property located at 3120 North Highway 67. Planning and zoning recommended denial on 8/5/13. We've postponed this to this day on August 26th and September 9th. Mr. Hernandez?
Yes, the petitioner has requested one more continuance to our next council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hernandez moves to postpone this to our next meeting on October 14th. Second by Mr. Gribb. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have old business. Bill 8936. Mr. Egan moves for second reading, second by Mr. Caputa. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance amending Chapter 15 of the Florissant City Code, Section 15-473, by adding a three-way stop at the intersection of Campion Lane and Manresa Lane.
Mr. Schmidt moves for a third reading, second by Mr. Stinnett. Any discussion? Clerk poll.
No.
All in favor? Aye.
Ordinance amending Chapter 15 of the Florissant City Code, Section 15-473, by adding a three-way stop at the intersection of Campion Lane and Manresa Lane.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in attendance who wishes to speak? Mr. Lee.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that the record reflects that this was recommended for approval by the Traffic Commission. Just want to make sure that is part of the record.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Mr. Egan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Lee, for making that notation for the record. This is one of the few locations throughout the city that has in excess of a half of a mile run without a stop sign in a residential area, and I am supportive of this ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Egan. Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in attendance who wishes to speak? Seeing none, clerk, please poll the council for the final vote.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Lee. Yes. Gribb. Yes. Egan. Yes. Caputa.
Yes.
Shildroth.
Yes.
Stinnett.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Bill 8936 becomes ordinance number 7991. Next on the agenda is Bill 8938. Mr. Lee moves for second reading, second by Mr. Schmidt. All those in favor? Aye.
An ordinance authorizing the approval of a minor subdivision plat of the St. Ferdinand Commons subdivision located at 945 and 965 Graham.
I'll move for a third reading, second by Mr. Caputa. All those in favor? Discussion.
An ordinance authorizing the approval of a minor subdivision plat of the St. Ferdinand Commons subdivision located at 945 and 965 Graham.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in attendance who wishes to speak on this? I don't see her. Seeing none, clerk, please poll the council for the final vote.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Lee. Gribb. Yes. Egan. Yes. Caputa. Yes. Shildroth.
Yes.
Stinnett.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Bill 8938 becomes ordinance number 7992. Next on the agenda is Bill 8939. I'll make a motion for a second by Mr. Hernandez. All those in favor? Aye.
Ordinance amending Title III of the Florissant City Code, Section 355, stopping, standing, or parking prohibited in specific places by adding a new section, 355145, parking of vehicles for sale.
Mr. Lee moves for a third. I will second that. All those in favor? Aye.
Ordinance amending Title III of the Florissant City Code, Section 355, stopping, standing, or parking prohibited in specific places by adding a new section, 355145, parking of vehicles for sale.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in attendance who wishes to speak on this? Clerk, please poll the council for the final vote.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Lee. Yes. Gribb. Egan. Yes. Caputa. Yes. Shildroth.
Yes.
Stinnett.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Bill 8939 becomes ordinance number 7993. I'd like to thank the council for supporting this new ordinance. It's something that I brought to their attention. I'd seen an inordinate amount of vehicles and motorcycles, boat, trailer for sale, and in places where they weren't supposed to be for sale. Folks that have a license to sell those kind of items aren't going to have a problem with this. And I think Lindbergh has a lot of traffic, but if you're in the business of selling one good or service, you shouldn't be selling a friend's boat or car. So I think it makes Lindbergh a little bit cleaner. So I appreciate your support on this. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have Bill 8941. Mr. Gribb moves for a second, second by Mr. Stennett. All those in favor? Aye.
Ordinance amending Chapter 210 by adding a new Section 210620 to prohibit playing sports or engaging in recreational activities in any street and prohibiting the placement of sports equipment in a street or within 12 feet of any street.
Mr. Hernandez moves for a third, second by Mr. Schmidt. All those in favor? Aye.
Ordinance amending Chapter 210 by adding a new Section 210620 to prohibit playing sports or engaging in recreational activities in any street and prohibiting the placement of sports equipment in the street or within 12 feet of any street.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in attendance who wishes to speak on this? Seeing none, clerk, please poll the council for the final vote.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Lee. Gribb. Egan. Caputa. Shildroth.
Yes.
Stinnett. Schmidt.
Bill 8941 becomes ordinance number 7994. I would also like to thank the council for this. The chief brought this to our attention several months ago, and I think it's going to help our neighborhoods immensely in some problem areas. Next on the agenda, we have new business, board appointments. Mr. Stennett.
Yes, from the Historic Landmark Commission, Mr. Ed Kill of 1339 St. Anton Street has elected not to seek another 3-year term on the Landmark Historic Commission. He will serve as an alternate should he be needed. I wish to thank Mr. Kill for his many years of service to our community. In his place, I would like to nominate Mr. Joe Schulte of 940 St. Anton Street to fill his vacant position. Mr. Schulte is a long-term Florissant resident who has been employed by the city of Florissant has been active in the community for many years. Thank you.
Mr. Stennett moves for approval, second by Mr. Lee. All those in favor? Aye. Approval has been granted. I would like to reappoint Mr. Paul Smith from Ward 5 to the Citizens Participation Committee. Mr. Egan moves for approval, second by Mr. Schmidt. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have a resolution. Mr. Gribb moves for a second reading, seconded by Mr. Schmidt. All those in favor? Aye.
Resolution of the City of Florissant supporting a grant application to build a new public restrooms at Bangert Park facility. No, on to third reading.
Mr. Lee moves for a third, second by Mr. Stinnett. All those in favor? Aye.
Resolution of the City of Florissant supporting a grant application to build new public restrooms at the Bangert Parks facility. Roll call. Same thing.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in attendance who wishes to speak on this resolution? Seeing none, clerk, please poll the council for the final vote.
Hernandez. Lee. Gribb. Egan. Caputa. Shildroth.
Yes.
Stinnett. Schmidt.
Resolution has been granted. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have a request from Ward 6. Request to transfer special use permit number 7879 is amended from Hot Shots to Show Me's for the location and operation of a restaurant located at 1786-98 North New Florissant Road. Mr. Stennett moves for approval. I'll second that. All those in favor? Aye. Next on the agenda, we have requests from Ward 3. Request for a beer and wine liquor by the drink license for the Meat Locker, DBA Max's Meats and Deli, located at 432 Howder Shell. Mr. Egan moves for approval. I'll second that. Clerk, please have a roll call vote.
Hernandez. Lee. Gribb. Egan. Caputa. Shildroth.
Yes.
Stinnett. Schmidt.
The request has been granted. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have bills for first reading. Bill 8943.
Ordinance to rezone for Missouri CVS Pharmacy LLC, the property located at 1550 and 1500 South New Florissant Road and 1191 Dunn Road from B3 Extensive Commercial District to B5 Planned Commercial District to allow for the construction and operation of a drive-through pharmacy, retail sales, medical clinic, and liquor sales.
Next on the agenda, we have Bill 8944.
Ordinance transferring special use permit number 7879 as amended from Hot Shots to Show Me's for the location of operation of a restaurant located at 1786-98 North New Florissant Road.
Next on the agenda, we have council announcements. Mr. Egan?
For the final time, the Florissant Benevolent Golf Tournament is this coming Monday. If you're a businessman in town and you want to sponsor a hole, you want to throw some giveaways to the raffle baskets, get a hold of Captain Bowden. If you're a golfer, you want to play, get a hold of Captain Bowden at the police department. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Egan. Mr. Stinnett?
Yes, our fall festival is rapidly approaching October the 13th from 11 to 5. Everyone mark it on your calendar. It's always a great event. Come out and enjoy it. It'll be all up and down St. Francis Street, so look forward to seeing everyone there.
Thank you, Mr. Stinnett. I happened to go by Click Heating and Cooling last week to turn in my application to be in the chili cook-off on October 13th at our fall festival, and I received some really bad news, and it really took me back and set me back, and I'm about over it, but my own daughter has decided to put an entry in the chili cook-off contest, and the worst thing about it is she's naming it after my granddaughter. And, you know, 4 years of Incarnate Word, a nice wedding, a couple of cars, and this is how she repays the old man. I mean, I just don't get it. I'll get over it, but, you know, it's going to take a long time to forgive her on this one. Mr. Mayor?
You know, rumor has it that she was actually prepared the winning dish in the last, when you won. Is that true? Is that just a rumor?
It's a rumor.
Well, it's going to be the best ever fall festival, so you don't want to miss it on October 13th. Hopefully we'll have weather similar to what we had this past weekend. I sent a letter out to property owners of vacant property after discussing it with Chief Lowry, Public Works Director Lou Gerals, and a resident approached me who is a frequent visitor to our council meetings and suggested that we send a letter such as this out to the owners of vacant property to ask them to do whatever they could to make their property look like it was occupied. And so we had a laundry list of things that we're asking them to do in addition to keeping it clean, but maybe have some lights on and some curtains in the windows and so forth and so forth. And the city is going to reduce the amount of stickers that we use. We will use stickers when someone has to be evicted for code violations, but we're going to minimize the use of those. So we're going to make an effort to make it less obvious to those, especially copper thieves, that are out patrolling the city looking for targets. Again, it's something that we're asking for the public's help with. If you see someone in your neighborhood, they're not necessarily going to have pickup trucks and so forth. They might enter the property a little bit more clandestine than that, but keep an eye out for someone that might be trying to enter vacant property and help us apprehend some of these copper thieves. They're one of the worst scourges on society that I can imagine. On 9/11, we had a ceremony that was well attended at the VFW. We had Council Members Stinnett and Caputa in attendance, and it was very appreciated by the veterans and their families. It was at the hosted by the VFW and the City of Florissant. We had our band shell there, and it was a very solemn ceremony. The fire department had the large flag on their ladder truck, and we're one of the few communities that still have a 9/11 ceremony, but events that happened like December 7th, 1941, and September 11th, 2001. Those are dates that live in infamy, and we need to remember those dates and stay vigilant. On a happier note, St. Ferdinand Parish on September 15th celebrated their 225th anniversary as a parish. They're the oldest parish in St. Louis County. And Archbishop Carlson visited Florissant, and they had a mass, very special mass, at their original, well, not their original church, but their second church, which is the shrine now. St. Ferdinand Shrine was the host for this mass, and they also used the Knights of Columbus grounds pavilion, and it was just a wonderful celebration attended by many, many parishioners to celebrate one of the oldest parishes in the Louisiana Purchase territory. The only ones older are St. Genevieve and the old cathedral downtown. But of course, St. Ferdinand was the home of the friendship, the famous friendship between St. Philippine de Chane and Father de Smet, two pioneer religious in our early days in the 1700s, and they inspired a lot of people, and they still inspire us today. We had the town hall meeting for our senior citizens last Thursday, September 19th. That was also well attended. I'd like to thank Crystal Creek Health and Rehab Center for graciously providing the breakfast, and for Pastor Joe, Discipleship Pastor Joe Mueller from First Christian Church of Florissant for doing the invocation. And there was many organizations that were there, in addition to all our department heads who were there to answer questions and make presentations. We also had many organizations that the seniors that service the senior community, such as AARP, Alzheimer's Association, Center for Senior Renewal, Christian Hospital, County Older Residence Program, Greater North County Chamber, Lutheran Senior Services, Mideast Area on Aging, Missouri Veterans Commission, North County Senior Ministry, OASIS, St. Louis County Library, and Washington University Memory and Aging Programs. I'd like to thank Peggy Hogan and the Senior Commission for all their help in putting that together. As I said before, it was a great weekend this past weekend, and I had several block parties and visited, we had a wedding reception right across the street from City Hall that was a block party and a wedding reception combination. They did square dancing, and they had a great time right across the street from City Hall on Boone, and then we had another one on Leisure and another one on Miller, and a good time was had by all. These neighborhood block parties are a great way to get to know your neighbors, and it helps make your neighborhood more enjoyable and safer because you kind of know who's coming and going, and you're more apt to look out for each other. And then lastly, this Wednesday, we have Wednesday Night Out, and we're going to honor, excuse me, the Wednesday Night Out is at Hendel's at 6 o'clock. It's on St. Denis Street between Hendel's and Sacred Heart. But at 5:45, we're going to honor Henry Hendel, who was a great Florissant citizen. We're going to honor him with a plaque on the Walk of Fame at St. Jacques and St. Francis Street. And I'd like to again thank former Mayor Lowry for beginning the Walk of Fame. I think it's a great addition to the historical remembrance and the historical awareness of our beautiful city. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our next meeting is October 14th at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. After I make this motion for adjournment, we will have a 5-minute break before we will go into our work session, where I will make a motion to go into closed session and then return for the rest of the work session. Mr. Schmidt moves for adjournment, second by Mr. Caputa. All those in favor? Aye.